Hello and welcome to another video. This is 3 Ps and Games, and today we're going to be talking about Nintendo's fiscal results for third quarter for fiscal year ending March 2025. So just a way to look through their recent earnings release and look at the implications of what it means for the Switch 2 release going forward, and what to expect, and just to gauge your performance and share personal opinions as well. Nothing too much, this doesn't really have much of an impact on the release of Switch 2, but just coming from a business perspective as to what they're going to be thinking of, and how this impacts the gaming business overall. Let's start here. So we're going to first look at their consolidated financial result and outlook. From here we can see they had a lot of declines everywhere. So from net profit, ordinary profit, net sales, everything declined. In more slides we'll go through why the declines happen and where exactly this decline happened. But overall, just say hardware, software declined and everything declined. But yeah, nothing to worry about. The Switch is in its 8th year, so it's standard. I know probably they didn't expect this decline because they had to revise their forecast, which we'll get into in other slides as we go through. But just the implication of it's time for them to bring out new products and see some profits. They also had to revise their shareholder earnings, of course, and investors and shareholders will be looking at their returns going forward. But it's just a normal thing, nothing too major. So in terms of consolidated sales, this is a very interesting slide. First of all, I said sales declined, normal. Sales of the dedicated video game platform, software, hardware on the Nintendo Switch declined as well. Sales from their mobile software, movie, IP merchandising and whatnot declined as well, but others seem to grow. So others seems to be revenue from their revenue store based on the information added here. So from the Nintendo store, Nintendo Tokyo store and other stores. But it's possible that they may be adding Nintendo Museum as well. I don't know if they count museum as merchandise and whatnot, but IP related income is possible. But Nintendo Museum may be something that they may be considering here as well. And then of course we have foreign exchange gains, which yen has been weak, so it's natural that they will have some foreign exchange gains due to the weak yen. But I think one of the most important things here is the regional sales ratio. We can see that Japan has a substantial chunk of that market, 23.5%, which is high. Compared to someone like Sony, with Japan probably be far less in terms of share. Japan seems to take a good chunk of Nintendo sales, which shows because they're the market leaders there by a huge gap. They probably own about 90% of the market at this point in Japan. So it's good to see that it shows here. Hopefully Sony will go back to their roots and ensure that they're bringing more and more Japanese favorable games in the near future and try to capture that market as well. Maybe the portable and other different consoles. I don't know, but let's see. The Americas, of course, have a commanding lead. It's the biggest markets. Europe, they seem to be doing really well in Europe, and Europe seems to be a country that Switch has had a huge inroad. And United Kingdom, that used to be a Xbox stronghold, it's no longer an Xbox stronghold. The Nintendo Switch has taken over that market, and essentially she's trying to replace the Xbox in terms of dominance. Of course PlayStation is still dominant as well, but I think the Switch and PS5 are trying to shift Xbox away from that market. And of course it's not surprising UK is to be an Xbox stronghold due to the fact that marketing and one. Xbox generally is strong in English, a lot of English speaking countries generally. English speaking countries, Xbox tends to do very well in those countries. I don't know why, but they tend to do very well in those countries. But Nintendo seems to be doing well in everywhere as much as possible, and their other share 7.6 has been growing since the Switch started. In other times like 3DS and Wii U, even Wii, DS, the others would probably be smaller. But I think Switch has really brought in that market, and I hope they ensure the Switch 2 goes out to other core markets as well, or like other developing markets as well, like maybe Asia, Africa, and the likes. They try and bridge those markets as well. Sony seems to have a good way of marketing to those different markets. They have very local marketing strategy for some of those markets. Like for India, they're doing quite well there. So hopefully they will be able to Nintendo will be able to take advantage of something like that. But Nintendo is still conservative. They like a lot of control. They may not be that what would I say, outgoing. Another useful insight here, just to show you some key insights. So of course, gross profit 59.1, which is even with all the decline, they had a growth in their gross profit, which is fantastic results. So having a gross profit of almost 60%, that's what a business would die for. That's a huge profit margin. That's software sales. Profit margin. That's the NVIDIA profit margin. That's some great profit margins there. Fantastic stuff. When you hear something like Nintendo, you hear profit margins, like they are profitable. Or in terms of gaming, they know how to make profit. So it's not surprising there. Proportion of now for some of these things here, you can see proportion of hardware sales. It's just a way of showing the proportion of their dedicated platform sales. How many was hardware? So yeah, video game platform sales. How many was hardware? A proportion of first-party software sales. Just shows in all the software they sold on the video game platform, all the software sold on Switch and whatnot. How many? What was the percentage of it was first-party? You can see here that the Switch has a huge and high first-party software sales percentage. Not surprising. Sony probably be reversed, but that's normal. So digital software ratio. The digital software sales has been increasing over the years, but they still been moving between 47, 48, 50, 52%. Depending on the quarter, they've been moving around that level. So around 50% is their digital proportion of digital sales. But they had a slightly higher one here this quarter, and that also helped in their gross profit and profitability overall. So it's a good performance for them. So that's good. So one that hopefully when the Switch 2 comes out, they will have higher digital ratio, and they can be able to increase their profit margin significantly. So if we're looking at now, we're going to be looking at just their expenses. They had a slight increase in their expenses, mostly due to yen, so the foreign expenses that they pay. Yen is weaker, so things will cost more. Yeah, essentially. So those are some of the things that happened. Overall profitability, decreased, but it's understandable. As I said, 80 generation, so it's not a big deal. Well, from now we're going to be moving, just seeing some more profit numbers, but we're going to be focusing on the forecast, because that's where a lot of investors had questions on. Mostly the forecast, because they revised their hardware and software forecast, and of course revised their revenue forecast for the year. And a lot of investors seem to have questions on that, which I understand, because they also reduced their the forecasted dividend they will pay out. So investors, owners would be asking questions when you do something like that. But initially, when they started out the fiscal year, their forecast for hardware was around 13.5 million Nintendo Switches to be sold. They revised it, last quarter to 12.50, as you can see here, and then they further revised this after the end of this current quarter, after the end of last quarter, to 11 million. Initially, when they announced that 13.5 number, I thought that was too ambitious. Almost 40 million units in your 8th year. Like you have to be something else, or you have to have a killer lineup to deserve that sales. But their lineup was not good enough to honestly warrant the sales they were thinking of getting. So I'm not surprised it came down. Of course, that will of course affect software sales as well. They initially projected around 165 in terms of software sales. And they didn't really do they did revision to 160, so nothing major. But now they are doing 150. They're taking off, so they've taken off 15 million off their initial forecast beginning of the fiscal year, which is hefty and a lot, but understandable. You know, the switch is just like steam has gone from the switch. It's normal. Everybody's looking towards the switch 2. And one of the questions that an investor asked in the Q&A was, how did the announcement of the switch affect the switch 2 affecting switch, and is that really one of the reasons why they are reducing their forecast? And the CEO was like, not really. They had last holiday period, they had Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, they have Mario Wonder. Those games did very well. But this year they had Super Mario Party Jamboree, which is one of the fastest selling Mario Party. We'll see more details on that below. But they also had Zelda and some other games, but they're not as big as those major franchise releases, and you can't expect Zelda and be switched to perform so well again. So that was one of the key things he mentioned, causing the decline. But they're also looking at based on the results they had in the holiday season. They're not expecting so much this current quarter, January to March, so which is understandable. They only have like 2 games coming out, Donkey Kong and Xenoblade X. So even though I'm sure they probably will get to their hardware target most likely, and their software target they'll definitely get there. If they don't get there, they'll probably be 1 or 2 million short, maybe like 140, 149. Worst case, but they'll get as close to their software target, if not surpass it as possible. Worst case, I'm thinking between 148 to 149, or they'll do 150, 152 between that range for one. So that's where I'm thinking they'll fall in at the end of the fiscal year. Nothing major to report in that. That's just an interesting tidbit. The investors really seem to care about that decline, which I understand. What revenue declined, and a lot of things are tied to the forecast and expected dividend and payout, expected profit attributable to the owners of the parent company. So those things are important. Yeah, I think another snippet from the Q&A he was regarding something about quantity forecasting for the launch of the Switch 2. Just a brief tidbit from the Q&A as well. One of the investors was asking about let's say launch quantities, launch preparations, essentially preparation for the launch. And Furukawa, chairman of Nintendo, president of Nintendo, was just saying that they are prepared. They are prepared for a lot of demand, but they are also looking at the reaction to the direct in April to see how they'll make adjustments for depending on the reception of the direct in April, and which is very not surprising, because I'm sure they have their plans down, they have the quantities they are targeting, but they want to see how they can make adjustments based on the direct. And he also mentioned that it's not easy to make drastic changes when it comes to launches like this, but they are looking to see how they can modify anything if possible after the direct on April 2nd. So it's not so far from now. It's about less than 2 months. So looking forward to that event. 2017 direct, when the Switch was about to launch, was a good way to sell the system, and I hope they do a better job here as well. So from here we'll be looking at software, just some software and hardware performances, but mostly focusing on software and some key insights from software sales as well. So looking at the software, there was good performance overall in terms of software. Decline, of course, but when the system is in the 8th year, I think these are some of the things that you can expect in terms of performance. So hardware, declined, as I said, 3%, nothing too major, nothing too concerning. It's in his last leg, so those things are expected. But I think the highlights for me is Mario Party, and of course, Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 doing shipping 5.38 million after how many years? I think 8 years of being on the market in a fiscal year is honestly ridiculous. Yes, I know there were bundles for Black Friday and everything as usual. But 5.38 million in a fiscal year, that is fantastic sales number. I think a lot of games will want to have that for their lifetime, but just a single year, man. Nintendo really doing fantastic stuff. Another milestone to highlight is the fact that in the fiscal year, and the year is not yet over, and it's still this quarter, they've had 19 million 1 million sellers, 12 from them, 7 from third-party software developers. My guess, if I'm going to guess, because it's difficult to guess, but I'm going to guess FIFA 25 is one of the million sellers. I'm going to guess maybe Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy have been performing well this year. It performed very well last year, so I'm guessing Hogwarts Legacy has probably sold another 100 million on the Switch in a period of time. And it performed well on the US charts as well, so I'm guessing Hogwarts Legacy and Minecraft probably. And yeah, I think probably those three in terms of third party. Maybe I don't know, no third party in Japan that I can think of that probably added a million sales in the fiscal year. So I think those three for now. Maybe a Square Enix game, maybe like Dragon Quest 3 HD remake. Yeah, 2D HD remake, maybe that one as well. But I'm not so certain. But yeah, that's my guess for the third party games to sell. Some of the third party games to sell over 1 million. I just wish we had those numbers, and it'd be good to make those predictions. But I'm sure more people will predict in other areas. So, just also looking at the sell through for Nintendo hardware, Nintendo Switch, we can see that over time since their peak in 2021, the sell through, that is after the Switch has been sold to retailers, what was actually being purchased by people, which is easy for them to know because once you connect to the Switch, they know what they've shipped and what has been turned on, so they can easily calculate that. So based on what they ship to retailers, they've seen that the number has been declining over time. But the sell through for Nintendo's OLED seems to be okay, but even that has declined significantly compared to previous quarter. So sign to start again. But the one that interests me the most is the annual playing users. Now the problem I have with this stat is I don't know how many minutes or hours they use to determine what an annual playing user is. So based on the full report, it's just the number of the players that connect to use a Nintendo account, that play a Switch using a registered Nintendo account, in the year. So if you played your Switch maybe a couple of times last year, as long as you connected to the internet and you have allowed Nintendo to access your data, to be able to see that you've played games and what games you played or whatnot. The challenge I have with that is that how many hours are they tracking? If maybe a child or someone plays their holiday a couple of times during the holiday season, for instance, maybe a young adult plays just a couple of times during the holiday season, is that really an indication that it's an active player? Though they need an active player, they put annual playing user. So I think in essence it's a fair start, but I just wish we had a number what they used to qualify, or it's just a couple of minutes of play and that's all. But I don't know. I wish I had a number on what they used to qualify, annual playing. So in terms of numbers, but I'm sure they have all those data. I'm sure they're coming through data in terms of how many hours players are spending in the Switch and using it to make plans, how they want to market, and ensure they drive engagement for the Switch too. So yeah, I'm sure they have all those numbers there. So they have a wealth of data from Switch. So I'm sure they just try and share what they think looks good to investors as much as possible. But I wish they would share maybe in the future monthly or yearly active users and give us a good parameter of what the monthly active users is for Switch. daily active user, whatever they can do for the period of time. Yeah, but it's difficult to do. There's no really incentive to do it for a platform owner as long as they buy and they continue to play. But one interesting stat here is the sell through, sell in, so sell in, sell through of the game. Sell through is what has been sold from the retailers and has gotten to the consumer. So essentially consumption data. Usually when they report the numbers, they report shipping numbers, number of the games that have been shipped to retailers. But Nintendo reports both shipped games and in terms of digital software sales, as well as games that they ship to retailers in terms of physical copies as well. So they add everything together to get a physical number. But here you can see that Mario Party Jamboree sold 6.17 million, but sell through is 5.6. That's a huge sell through. Something like Zelda did, far less, I think 3.8, but a sell through for 3.4, which is very good as well. So sell through is doing well, but of course there's been a decline compared to the peaks of 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. Those years were fantastic years for Nintendo. So there's a huge decline. It's still not lower than the launch year, but which is expected. There's not enough software, and there's not enough hardware as well. So, but yeah, it's signs of clear decline. But they did well the holiday season. Mario Party Jamboree did exceptionally well. It's probably the highest, fastest selling in terms of sell through to consumers, which is fantastic. Yeah, but I was disappointed, not too disappointed with Mario and Luigi Brothership. I didn't really expect much from the game. They didn't look compelling, so yeah, not too surprised there. So yeah, once again, I said Mario Party Jamboree is one of the fastest selling Mario Party in terms of sell through, 5.6 million compared to the previous games in the series, and they should be proud. I didn't expect the game to be this successful. Because though I never understand Mario Party and understand why people like Mario Party, so I'm probably the wrong person to say it. But yeah, did well, better than Super Mario Party, which has been a high seller on the Switch for years. Also did better than Mario Party Superstars. So yeah, congrats to them. So more software sales, just more talk on the, more information on the increase in the proportion of digital sales. Nothing too fancy there. Just shows that the proportion has increased to 51.0, even though there was a decline in digital sales. But of course, the challenge is just Switch sales are declining overall. So physical sales probably declined more than digital. So so digital grew, which is understandable, especially for kids. People are just looking towards the next thing, so probably picking up less and less, or maybe physical is just dropping. But at the end of the day, Nintendo still hovers within that range, usually with 50 to 40, around 40-50% in fiscal year. So 47, 48, digital, sometimes 50, 52, 53, and then of the fiscal year. You'll probably end this fiscal year at a higher number, probably around 55, but it depends. I would wait and see how these 3 months go to conclude on software proportion. But yeah, they still need physical software. Nintendo, they can't run away from it. They still need physical software, and I expect a lot of people are looking forward to Switch 2 and having games on the shelf. They still need physical software. Finally, we have our two guys here that are important to me, which is Xenoblade X and Pokemon ZA. So they've already released Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Yeah, I am seriously not impressed. I don't know why them putting HD on this game simply makes it okay to charge $60 for it. Yes, it's $60, not $70. Yes, I know costs have increased, but still, like, it's a remake of a game that has been remade on 3DS. It's a remaster of a game that's been remade on 3DS. Essentially, it shouldn't be full price. Like if second, this is the third release, it shouldn't be full price, especially with the level of work you've done. They did, using Unity and whatnot, but the visual differences compared to the Wii game and 3DS game, it's not striking enough to worth this, price. The same thing issue I had with Luigi's Mansion 2 HD or whatever remaster. Same issue I had, the visual difference is not worth it, because HD you charge full price. Minimum should be 50-40. Like if you release Metro Prime 1 remaster for $40, this should be $40 as well. Luigi's Mansion 2 should be $40 as well. That game should not be 40 and the others are charging 60. I don't get it. It should not be 60. Like I don't understand, but that's Nintendo for you. But I'm looking forward to Pokemon ZA. Pokemon franchise is probably my second favorite franchise. I really enjoyed Pokemon Legends Arceus. Pokemon Legends ZA, we've not heard much from it, but hopefully by this year's Pokemon Day, that's on February 27th, we get some news about that. I'm also looking forward to Xenoblade Chronicles X. I've been looking forward to this game for several years now, and I'm looking forward to getting a chance to play it on the Switch. So hopefully that runs well on the Switch 2 as well. Speaking of Switch 2, just some things that I've covered already in one of my previous videos. Direct is happening on April 2nd. They've announced worldwide, tours of the Switch 2. I didn't get a ticket, Nintendo, but we move on. I've entered the wait list. Hopefully something comes through. And some other information generally on Nintendo theme parks and updates on the various theme parks they are working on, but nothing major from them. So that's about wraps up my look on Nintendo's fiscal earnings reports for Q3 fiscal year ending March 2025. That's it. I'm looking forward to the end of the fiscal year, looking at their results, looking forward to the Switch 2's performance, looking forward to the picking up of the video games industry this year. It seems to be starting off very well. Kingdom Come Deliverance seems to be doing well. We had some sad news with BioWare and EA, but I kind of expected that one, but it's still sad all the same. Some studio closures here and there, which still shocks me till this day. But I think some bright spots in the industry. Kingdom Come Deliverance seems to be a hit, and I'm hoping Assassin's Creed Shadows later this month as well does very well. Monster Hunter Wilds is definitely going to be a huge hit as well. That's not even up for debate. So yeah, I'm positive the industry is going to do well this year. I'm positive Nintendo is going to do well this year and bring the much needed boost the industry needs. Hopefully GTA 5 also turns up and creates the hype that's necessary. But yeah, and the Switch is going to do well. Looking forward to the presentation in April. I'll probably do a video later and down the line talking about what my expectations are for the debate, for the direct, and after the direct I'll probably do another video predicting sales figures and whatnot, impressions and whatnot. But yeah, interesting stuff. So next week, most likely the weekend, I'll be dropping a video on Sony when Sony releases their own earnings report. I'm actually looking forward to reading Sony's earnings report because of the various cancellations of live service games. I want to see if their profitability has been really been affected by the expenses that are probably not going to get any returns. So yeah, and it's going to be interesting look in general, looking at their release schedule for the year and just have an idea of their strategy. Sony is not one to crave high first party software sales. In terms of proportion, they rather have the third parties take a major proportion, and they take maybe 30-40%. They'll be fine with that. And first party taking majority, I think even to 30%, they'll be fine with 30%. And software taking majority, because they will get 30% of whatever they sell already. So they are good. I think they rather be the platform where people play than be the platform that sells their games. So I think they want to be a platform for everybody, and their competition Xbox has essentially lost and thrown in the towel. So I think that's fair. So I'm going to wrap it up here today at this point. So I'm looking to have collaborations, partnerships, discussions. Please drop a comment on how I can improve the videos. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to make and tweak and make some adjustments as time goes by. I'm probably going to start doing some video recordings of myself and adding to the clips going forward. I want to try that out in my next video. But I'm working on trying to get some footage for Suicide Squad and Astrobot, and hopefully videos will come out on those two games very soon. So it's been fun. Thank you very much. If you've listened to me ramble and talk for several minutes now, thank you very much, and I hope you watch some of my other videos here as well. Thank you.